Back again so soon for more tales of creepypastas written entirely by AI, from children with wide eyes of nothingness, a phone call from the beyond, and the depths of Dr. Harrow's macabre research. If you missed our last video on this, there's a link in the description and it will be there at the end of the video. The Black-Eyed Children. In a quiet suburban neighborhood nestled beneath the cover of darkness, a chilling presence began to make itself known. Residents reported encounters with eerie children who appeared at their doorstep in the dead of night, their eyes black as the abyss. The children's visits were always unexpected, and they would stand silently in the dim glow of the porch lights. Their faces obscured by shadows, their black eyes seemed to absorb all light, and those who dared to gaze into them were left with an overwhelming sense of dread, as if their very souls were being drawn into the void. The children spoke in hushed, almost robotic voices asking for help, claiming to be lost or in the need of assistance. But their requests were always vague and their intentions shrouded in uncertainty. Each encounter left the residents feeling a growing unease, a primal fear that gnawed at their sanity. In the aftermath of these disturbing visits, strange occurrences began to plague the neighborhood. Whispers in the dead of night, strange symbols etched into door frames, and a growing feeling of being watched turned the once peaceful suburb into a living nightmare. As the sightings of the black-eyed children increased, so did the fear among the residents. Some chose to ignore the children, hoping they would go away, but their presence only grew more persistent. Others, out of a sense of compassion, tried to help, but they too were drawn into the vortex of terror and despair. The black-eyed children seemed to feed on the fear and unease they instilled in their victims, leaving a wake of dread and despair in their path. The suburban neighborhood had become a breeding ground for the unknown, a place where the line between reality and the supernatural had grown thin. No one knew where the black-eyed children came from or what they truly wanted, but one thing was certain. They were harbingers of darkness, and their presence had forever altered the peaceful streets of the suburban neighborhood. The residents were left to grapple with the haunting question: how do you escape the relentless gaze of the black-eyed children when they seem to exist beyond the boundaries of reality? The forgotten amusement park. Hidden away in the depths of the decaying city, an abandoned amusement park emerged from the shroud of history. A place that had vanished from the maps and memories decades ago. For urban explorer Ethan, the park was a tantalizing mystery, a chance to unearth the secrets of its past. As he ventured deeper into the park, the rides and attractions stood as eerie remnants of a bygone era. The rusty roller coaster tracks twisted through the air like skeletal remains, and the faded posters of smiling faces seemed to mock the desolation that now enveloped the place. The park's atmosphere was thick with a palpable, suffocating silence, broken only by the creaking of aging structures and the distant sound of ghostly laughter that no longer had a place in this world. Ethan's exploration took a sinister turn as he stumbled upon an underground tunnel, hidden beneath the park's decaying funhouse. The passage led him to a forgotten chamber, adorned with ancient symbols and cryptic writings that told a chilling tale. The amusement park had once been a front for a secret society, a cult that conducted forbidden rituals and dark ceremonies under the guise of an innocent entertainment. The park's attractions were designed to lure visitors into a sense of false security, creating a perfect cover for their sinister operation. Ethan uncovered photographs of the cult members, their faces twisted in devotion to some malevolent force. He realized that the cult's activities had grown increasingly dark, culminating in a cataclysmic event that led to the park's abrupt disappearance from public consciousness. As he delved deeper into the underground tunnels, Ethan uncovered a hidden altar, an eerie chamber where the cult's last, desperate ritual had taken place. The walls bore the desperate writings of those who had tried to stop the cult, their words filled with a growing sense of dread and despair. Ethan's exploration had unlocked a door to a nightmarish past, and he was not alone. The spirits of those who had been sacrificed in the cult's rituals still lingered, their agonizing wails and tormented souls becoming part of the park's grim legacy. Haunted by the sinister reason behind the amusement park's disappearance, Ethan had unwittingly set free the malevolent force that had laid dormant for decades. The forgotten amusement park had once been a place of dark secrets, and now it was a place of unimaginable horror, a twisted time capsule from a past that should have remained buried. The shadow in the mirror. For Mia, the mirrors in her home had always been portals to her reflection, a mundane necessity of life. But as she gazed into her own eyes one fateful evening, she began to notice something profoundly unsettling, strange shadows that seemed to move independently of her actions. At first, Mia dismissed them as mere tricks of the light, figments of her imagination, but the shadows were persistent, lurking in the background of her reflection, their movement subtle and sinister. It was as if they had a life of their own, a presence that existed just beyond her awareness. The shadows grew bolder, casting their own eerie reflections on the mirror's surface. They seemed to beckon to her, drawing her deeper into the supernatural world that they lay hidden just beyond the glass. Each day the shadows grew darker, their forms more distinct, and their intent increasingly malevolent. One night as Mia stared into the mirror, the shadows seemed to reach out for her. The sensation was chilling, as if icy fingers brushed against her skin. She recoiled in fear, but it was too late. The shadows had gained a grip on her, pulling her into their nightmarish realm. In this twisted reflection of reality, Mia found herself trapped in a world where the shadows were not mere spectres, but entities with a sinister purpose. They led her down a terrifying path into a dimension where the laws of physics and logic had no meaning. As Mia navigated this surreal, shadowy realm, she encountered other souls who had fallen victim to the same malevolent forces. They shared stories of their torment and warned her of the shadow's ultimate goal, to consume her soul and make her a permanent resident of their dark world. With every passing day, Mia's own reflection in the mirror grew dimmer as the shadows grew stronger. Desperation set in as she realized that escaping this supernatural nightmare would be a near impossible task. The shadow in the mirror had become her tormentor, an entity that thrived on her fear and despair. Mia was left with a haunting question. Could she break free from the grip of the shadows and find her way back to the world of the living, or would she become just another lost soul in the shadowy abyss? The phone call from beyond. After the passing of her beloved grandmother, Sarah found herself immersed in grief, struggling to come to terms with the void left by the matriarch's absence. She had been the guiding light in Sarah's life, and her loss left an irreplaceable emptiness. One quiet evening, as Sarah sat in the dimly lit living room, her phone rang. The caller ID displayed her grandmother's number, and her heart skipped a beat. Trembling, she answered the phone, her voice quivering as she spoke her grandmother's name. A familiar voice, filled with warmth and love, greeted her from the other end. It was unmistakably her grandmother's voice, but the message she brought defied the laws of the living. She spoke of an afterlife, a place of undescribable beauty and serenity, a realm beyond the comprehension of the living. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as her grandmother shared details of this otherworldly paradise. The words painted a picture of peace and contentment, a place where pain and suffering had no dominion. She reassured Sarah that she was no longer in pain and that her spirit had found eternal rest. But as the conversation continued, Sarah couldn't help but feel a growing unease. Her grandmother's tone shifted, her words taking on a hauntingly quality. She began to speak of things she couldn't have known in life, secrets that had been buried with her in the grave, and events that had transpired since her passing. The chilling realization struck Sarah. The voice on the other end was not of her grandmother, but something else. Something that had taken on her grandmother's form and voice to deliver a message from beyond. It was a message that defied the laws of reality, a warning that the line between the living and the dead was not as clear-cut as it seemed. Sarah hung up the phone, her heart racing and her mind consumed by a paralyzing fear. The call had left her with an unsettling truth. Her grandmother's spirit had reached out to her from the afterlife, but she had unknowingly made contact with something that dwelled in the shadowy realm between the living and the dead. The phone call from beyond was a haunting reminder that the boundaries of life and death were not absolute, and there were forces in the universe that could bridge the gap, leaving the living to grapple with an unnerving mystery of the beyond. The Lost Tapes of Dr. Harrow. Dr. Jonathan Harrow was a brilliant scientist known for pushing the boundaries of ethical research. His controversial experiments earned him both acclaim and infamy in the scientific community. After his sudden and mysterious disappearance, his work was shrouded in legend, with many believing he had crossed into forbidden territory. Years later, a researcher named Olivia stumbled upon a cache of old videotapes in the dusty archives of an abandoned laboratory. The tapes bore Dr. Harrow's name and were marked as classified and forbidden. With a mix of curiosity and trepidation, Olivia began to view them. As the videos played, they revealed a horrifying world of experimentation that defied all understanding. Dr. Harrow had been delving into the realms of the paranormal and the macabre, conducting forbidden experiments on human subjects. His subjects once ordinary people were transformed into nightmarish entities that defied the laws of nature. The tapes documented gruesome procedures and the agonized screams of his subjects as they were subjected to unimaginable torment. Dr. Harrow had sought to uncover the secrets of life and death, using forbidden knowledge to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. As Olivia watched in horror, the experiments became increasingly twisted, and their results becoming increasingly monstrous. Dr. Harrow's own sanity seemed to unravel as he delved deeper into the abyss, his obsession with unlocking the secrets of the afterlife consuming him. The footage revealed a dark, hidden world that extended far beyond the boundaries of science, a realm where the living and the dead intertwined, in a gruesome and unnatural way. The entities created by Dr. Harrow's experiments were beyond any comprehension, as they hungered for something that was never meant to be tampered with. Olivia realized that she had uncovered the horrifying legacy of Dr. Harrow's forbidden experiments, and the truth was more terrifying than any urban legend. The tapes left her haunted with a chilling understanding that there were secrets that should remain buried and experiments that should never have been conducted. The lost tapes of Dr. Harrow were a testament of the dark consequences of the forbidden knowledge and the terrifying price that those who sought to unlock the mysteries of the unknown would ultimately pay. Right, so that's it. Let me know if you made it to the end in the comments, you brave souls. Thanks for watching, and why not check out either of the two videos on screen right now. Strangers Phobias on the left, or on the right we have Unexplained Mysteries. Whichever you pick, I'll see you there.